Good evening and welcome into Sports Talk on a Budget. It is Monday, February 3rd, year of our Lord 2025. Took a little bit of a hiatus last week, took the week off. We didn't have a football game. We had the Pro Bowl games, but I don't count those. Did not have a football game, both college and pro this weekend, so took that off. Before I go and get into the show, want to make an announcement. Going into the offseason for both college football was already there and the NFL, which is going to be there after this Sunday. This show is not going to go away. Not going to take a hiatus during the off season. Going to be mostly football. We talk about maybe a little NBA, a little Major League Baseball, some March Madness in March as well. So keep an eye out for that. But this show is not going to go away. Going to react to a lot of the breaking news, whether that's draft, free agency in the NFL, transfer portal, coaching movements, things like that in college football. Still a lot of things to break down in the offseason. Not really much of an offseason for both college football and the NFL. Things just go boom, 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 boom in both those sports. So we'll still have a lot of coverage on this channel here. Love my support both on the YouTube channel and on the podcast stations. Really had a good week these last couple of weeks and down the stretch to the end of last year as well. So look to continue that. So this show, like I said, will not be going away. Will still be football centric. We'll sprinkle in some other sports as well. But even though the offseason happens for both the NFL and college football after this Sunday, the Super Bowl Sunday, this show will still be once a week, maybe even twice a week if we get some big news to drop, both in free agency and the draft in the NFL. And like I said, college football never stops moving. You have the transfer portal. You have coaches moving all over the place. You have conference realignment. Things are happening on a daily, weekly basis in college football. I will do a lot of draft breakdown for the NFL. That'll be a big part of the offseason as well. Before we get to the draft, a lot of breakdown, a couple of mock drafts, gives out my top players for the draft as well. So don't worry about it. This show is not going anywhere. It'll still be a weekly show. Still have a lot to break down during the offseason. With that being said, before we go ahead and look at the main topic of the show today, just want to let you know, as always, if you prefer the video version of this show, please go like and subscribe right down here. Smash that like, smash that subscribe on YouTube. If you prefer the audio version, go and subscribe and like on places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, basically wherever you get your podcasts. But let's go ahead and look at our topics for the show. So the first topic, going to dive just a teensy bit, just a little bit of a look at just the trade that shook the whole weekend this past weekend in the sports world, and that is Luka Doncic being traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis and some other pieces. Going to break that down just a little bit, not spend too much time on it, because the bulk of our show today will be about the Super Bowl. It'll be my full Super Bowl preview, giving my key matchups, X factors of the game. Going to look at that as well. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the show. So as I said, just wanted to touch on it just a little bit here. Like I said, this is more of a football-centric show, but still am an NBA fan, just not as much as I used to be. Still basketball, football, still fans of those sports, just not as much as I used to be, and not as much I am as it comes to the NFL and college football. But how can you not react to just the bombshell trade that dropped late Saturday night and even Saturday morning for people on the West Coast, or for people on the East Coast? The Dallas Mavericks decide to trade Luka Doncic, their 25-year-old superstar, all-NBA, all-star, to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis and other pieces. They're going to send Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris, and Utah got some picks in the trade. So it was a three-team deal. But really, the headline of the trade, of course, was Luka Doncic being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers from the Dallas Mavericks. Like I said, bombshell trade. For the first about 5 minutes looking at Twitter, I didn't believe that this trade actually happened. I thought, okay, Shams probably got hacked or someone's playing a joke. Is it fucking April Fool's? I thought this was a joke, and it wasn't. It wasn't at all. Bombshell trade. Trades in the NBA are kind of what makes that league even more exciting. And to be honest with you, the trades that happened this weekend, whether it was the Doncic trade or the De'Aaron Fox trade, has made me more excited about the NBA than any of the games have made me this entire season. Haven't watched a lot of the games. The moves that are being made and are being talked about are more exciting than the actual sport, in my opinion, to this point. But just to look at this trade, I understand that Luka Doncic isn't the best in shape guy. He's not the most committed player. There's a lot of things you could say about Luka Doncic that might not, he is not, he doesn't have the Mamba mentality of a Kobe Bryant. He doesn't even have the mentality of like LeBron James or other guys like that. But what he has done, he's been an all-NBA player 5 years in a row. The last 2 seasons, he's played in 2 conference championship series and an NBA Finals series. This is a guy, he's 25 years old. He's probably one of the 3 to 5 best players in the league, if you ask most people. And to trade him for an aging Anthony Davis, who's 31, probably has about a 35 or 37-year-old body, to trade him for that and to really not get much else back in return, a lot of pressure is on the Mavericks general manager, Nico Harrison, who orchestrated this trade and this Mavericks team to get back to the finals and win a championship in these next couple of years. It's going to be difficult, but you just gave away your generational player. You just gave away the face of your franchise, not just for the last 5 years, but was going to be the face of your franchise for the next 10 years. So you gave all that away just because you didn't like his workout habits and the person that he was. When we look at the Lakers, this looks like a future move to me. I don't think this really helps you this year. This actually hurts you this year because what they were missing was a big and some size down low, and now they lose their best big and don't really have any replacements. They're going to have to make a trade. So not going to be better this year, but this is for the future. LeBron James ain't going to be there forever. Probably not going to be there another 3 years. So this is for the future. Now you have the face of the franchise, the hand off the keys when LeBron leaves to Luka Doncic. That's what I think this move was for, and you're not going to turn this down if you're the Lakers. The rumor is that it was orchestrated by Nico Harrison and the Dallas Mavericks, and if you're Rob Pelinka and the Lakers, you're not going to turn down Luka Doncic. So crazy, just bombshell move in the NBA, but we'll see how it ends up, and a lot of pressure is going to be on Nico Harrison and that Dallas Mavericks organization to make it look like somewhat of a success coming out of this trade. And then the Lakers, you do it again. You get your face of the franchise again in a trade. It's been just an unbelievable line. You traded for Will Chamberlain. You traded for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You drafted Magic Johnson. You acquired Shaq. You drafted Kobe Bryant, or you got a draft day trade for Kobe Bryant. You drafted just so many guys. Traded for Pau Gasol. Got LeBron James, so it just never ends for the Los Angeles Lakers. But just wanted to kind of react to that a little bit. That was kind of my brief reaction to that trade there. Unbelievable trade. But let's go ahead and get to the reason why we're doing this show today, and that is my Super Bowl preview. Of course, we have the Eagles versus the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are a 1.5-point favorite in this game. What I'm going to start here is I want to break down the 3 keys to the game for both of these teams. I did this with the national championship with Ohio State and Notre Dame. Want to do that with the Eagles and the Chiefs here. We're going to start with the NFC champion Eagles here. First key for me is get Saquon going early and often. Saquon Barkley has been the backbone of that offense, the backbone of that team all season long. 2,000 yards rushing. All his games so far in the playoffs so far have been over 100 yards rushing. He's broken off multiple 50, 60-plus yard runs in the playoffs as well. When Saquon Barkley is going and he's humming and he's getting yards, he's getting big chunk plays, he's getting big chunk runs, this offense and this team in Philadelphia is very hard to stop. So get Saquon Barkley going early, get him going often, make him the focal point of your offense, which has been successful for you the whole season, and a main reason why you're sitting there in the Super Bowl with the chance to hoist the Lombardi Trophy, your second in franchise history. Number 2 key for me is generate pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Now that's easier said than done because Patrick Mahomes is very elusive in the pocket, and he's very good at kind of just breaking tackles or eluding defenders. But what this Philadelphia Eagles team has is a stout defensive line. Jalen Carter, one of the best defensive linemen in the league, heads that group up, but you still have Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham may come back. You still have studs all along that defensive front. You're going to have to get pressure from Mahomes, and it's really going to work if you can get interior pressure. So those defensive tackles, because kind of an unheard of or kind of a not talked about thing with this Kansas City Chiefs team is their offensive line is just average. It's average at best. You have Joe Thuney at left tackle. He's starting at left tackle, was moved there halfway through the year from guard. Your right tackle is not a great player. You can expose the right tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then up the middle, other than Creed Humphrey at center, their guards are just okay. They're not great. So you can generate pressure and you can get a pass rush on Mahomes. The thing is, he's a quick decision maker. He gets the ball out quick. And when he does hold on to the ball, he is very elusive in and outside the pocket. And then you always got to worry about the ref factor. And this is one thing I wanted to say before I get to the last key with the Eagles. One thing I don't want to shy away from when it comes to the Chiefs and it comes to this breakdown for the Super Bowl. is the fact that they do get a favorable whistle. They do get a favorable spot on the field when it comes to ref spotting the ball. They do get that. And you'd have to be blind to not see that they get favorable things. And that has been, a big storyline, and a lot of people are shying away from that conversation. But the Chiefs absolutely get a favorable whistle. They absolutely get favorable spots from the ref. Two things can be true in my mind. That can be true, that they get a favorable whistle and favorable calls. The second thing can be true, they're a very good dynastic team with a generational quarterback and a really good head coach, probably top 5 all time in Andy Reid. Both those things can be true. Don't know why people are trying to shy away from the former instead of the latter. But getting pressure on Mahomes is a huge key. My third key for the Eagles in this game is using Jalen Hurts' legs as a weapon. Get him involved in the running game. Get him on those read options, those RPO plays with Saquon Barkley, because you know what the defense is going to do. They're going to key on Saquon Barkley, and it's going to leave giant holes and lanes for Jalen Hurts to run the football. Get his legs involved. We saw that against the Rams. He had that big touchdown run. Now, he was a little bit banged up in that game. He looked good against the Commanders, and now he's had 2 weeks off, so I think he's going to be fresh going into the Super Bowl game. Use his legs as a factor, both in design runs and get him moving in bootlegs and get him rolling out, get him out of the pocket, make him a threat to this defense with his legs, because they're going to key on Saquon Barkley. So if Jalen Hurts can make plays with his legs, that'll open up the pass game. They still have 2 really good receivers in Brown and Devontae Smith. And, of course, you still have Dallas Goedert as well. You still have Saquon Barkley. So get Jalen Hurts' legs involved. Use him as a weapon. Use his legs as a weapon. I think that'd be a huge key. So those are my 3 keys for the Philadelphia Eagles in this game. Go ahead and go to my 3 keys for the Kansas City Chiefs in this game. First key is going to be take an early lead. Take an early lead if you're the Chiefs. The Chiefs are kind of notorious for falling behind early or not exactly taking early leads, especially in Super Bowls. They really haven't taken many early leads in any of their Super Bowl appearances. But if they can take an early lead and get Philadelphia tight, get them out of their game plan, get them to go away from Saquon Barkley and start throwing the ball more, obviously the advantage at that point goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. So if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, I probably take the opening kickoff. They probably defer, and that's probably the wise thing to do, but I probably take the opening kickoff, try to go down the field, get a touchdown, get Philadelphia tight and get them out of the game and get them to play catch up where they're throwing the ball more instead of running it with their main weapon in Saquon Barkley. Second key for me is obvious. Sell out to stop Saquon. Sell out to stop Saquon Barkley. You have a stud in the middle on the defensive line in Chris Jones that is good both in the pass game and the run game. You have good linebackers as well. I would probably put 8 in the box at times. Sell out to stop Saquon Barkley. Make Jalen Hurts beat you with his arm. He's capable of doing it, but I would rather go down losing to Jalen Hurts beating with his arm rather than giving up 150, 200 yards to Saquon Barkley on the ground. So sell out to stop Saquon Barkley. Make Jalen Hurts beat you with his arm. That is my second key. My third and final key for the Kansas City Chiefs in this game is back to their offense. Get Kelsey involved early and often. Get him involved early and often. He was a non-factor in the AFC Championship game. They didn't need him. But in this matchup against the Eagles have really good corners in secondary play. You have the rookie in Quinyon Mitchell. You have Darius Slay. You have C.J. Gardner-Johnson. All really good corners. You even have Cooper DeJean, Blankenship, really good defensive backs. But here's the thing. You can't just line up man against Kelsey because he doesn't run regular routes. He's running to find holes in the defense and find openings. Get Kelsey involved early if you're the Chiefs, because he is going to be the one mismatch that you have on the offensive side. You don't really have any other mismatches. Your receivers aren't that explosive. Worthy's come on of late, but he's not. The Eagles just played Terry McLaurin, and then before that they played the Packers kind of litany of receivers. They played Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. So your receiving core is going to be the worst receiving core they've seen all playoffs long. They're not worried about your receiving core. Worthy is a nice player. Juju Smith-Schuster kind of always has that playoff bump. DeAndre Hopkins has been a non-factor for this Chiefs team the entire playoffs. Same with Hollywood Brown outside of a few plays here and there. But if you can get Travis Kelce going early and often, he is going to be your one mismatch that you have on the offensive side versus that Philadelphia defense. So get him going early and often is my key to the game. So those are my 3 keys for the Kansas City Chiefs in this Super Bowl game. Now I wanted to look at the most important matchups in this game. And we kind of looked at them already when we went over our keys. The number one most important matchup to me is Saquon Barkley versus that Chiefs run defense. And one thing that's not being talked about a lot about this Chiefs defense is they've been kind of gashed by either Joe Mixon in the divisional round against Houston, James Cook and Josh Allen, and C.J. Stroud in that divisional matchup. But James Cook and Josh Allen got plenty of yards on the ground as well in the championship game. This defensive front was pretty darn good in the regular season. They have not continued that in the postseason. They have been gashed, and they have, like I said, they have been ran on pretty well so far in this postseason. So now they're facing the best running back in the league in Saquon Barkley. So that is a huge matchup that I'm looking for because that is a matchup that I think can really decide this game. Second matchup I'm looking for is the other way around, is this Chiefs offensive line versus that Eagles defensive line. And we've talked about this already in the keys. The Chiefs offensive line is not great. They're okay. You got Creed Humphrey, who's a really good center. Joe Thuney has filled in as a nice left guard. As the left tackle. Your right tackle is not only one of the most penalized players in the game because he always seems to go early, always seems to do false starts, but he's just not a great right tackle. And your guards aren't great, and you're going up against one of the best defensive lines and defensive fronts in the entire league in the Eagles. This a huge key there because I don't know how much of a run game will be a factor for this Chiefs team. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot, and that's going to let this Eagles defensive line pin their ears back and go after Mahomes. That's going to be a huge key there as well. And then the final matchup that I wanted to look at in this game is the Eagles receivers versus the Chiefs secondary. So the Chiefs have a nice secondary. Of course, you have Trent McDuffie. You have other guys on the back end in that secondary as well. Underrated secondary from them. Eagles have really good receiving core. You have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and then Goddard at tight end. And even Jahan Dotson has gotten some run in the playoffs as well. Is that going to be a matchup that maybe the Eagles can exploit when Saquon Barkley is kind of open up those lanes and those throwing lanes in the passing game? Is that something that they can exploit, or is this a matchup that the Chiefs could dominate? Because the Chiefs have looked really good on the pass defensive front so far in the playoffs. Like I said, their run defense has struggled. Their pass defense has not struggled. So that is my third matchup that I want to look at. Eagles receivers, who are really good receivers, versus that Chiefs secondary. You have McDuffie. Outside of McDuffie, who's guarding Devontae Smith, and can that be a key and an X factor in this game? And that is the final thing. I'm going to give 2 X factors in this game. Guys kind of off the radar, one for each team. Guys kind of off the radar who I think can make a big impact in this game. First one I'm going to start with is the Philadelphia Eagles and the guy I just mentioned, Devontae Smith. Because we know A.J. Brown and Trent McDuffie are probably going to be seeing a lot of each other throughout this game. That's going to be a key matchup. Can Devontae Smith be that reliable receiver option for Jalen Hurts when they're not handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley? When Barkley's not the focal point of the offense or on every single play, who's Jalen Hurts looking to throw the ball to? I think Devontae Smith is going to be the guy he's looking for because, like I said, McDuffie and Brown are going to be seeing a lot of each other. So I like Devontae Smith to be that X factor for the Philadelphia Eagles to get open, make plays like he can. Of course, Heisman Trophy winner in college, has had a nice NFL career so far. My X factor for the Kansas City Chiefs in this game, I've been back and forth about this. I've thought about, okay, who is the guy off the radar for them that could be an X factor? And my answer is going to be the run game. Not just one player, 2 players. We got Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, the run game. Because no one's expecting the Chiefs to have much of a run game in this game because of the Eagles front, because that's just not what the Chiefs do. They can run the ball pretty well, but they don't run it great. That offensive line is just kind of average. That defensive line for the Eagles is elite. But if Pacheco and Kareem Hunt can get some sort of momentum going in the run game, like I said, those are the X factors for the Chiefs. I think that could be huge in helping the Chiefs keep Saquon Barkley off the field, continue drives down the field. If you can establish a run game with those two guys, that is an X factor for that Chiefs offense. You take some pressure off for Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't have to go out there and be Superman basically every series because they can't develop a run game. So X factors, Eagles, Devontae Smith, Chiefs, Kareem Hunt, and Pacheco. So I have X factors for the Chiefs. Those are the two there. With all that being said, let's go ahead and look at our pick. And you're probably thinking, or, when you're listening to the breakdown here, whether it's the keys, the matchups, the X factors, it sounds like I'm leaning towards the Eagles. And that's going to be my rooting interest. I'm not going to hide that there. But I think the Chiefs win. I think the Chiefs cover. This team, they've become that team that you don't bet against. You don't pick against. I think they're going to win, get their third in a row, as much as I hate to say that. But give me the Chiefs -1.5 to win and cover and get their third Super Bowl in a row. I hope I am wrong, but I don't believe I will be. But like I said, give me the Chiefs -1.5 to win and cover. That has been my show today. If you like the video version for this show, please like and subscribe right down here on YouTube. Smash that like, smash that subscribe. If you prefer the audio version, however, please go like and subscribe on places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or basically wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you again for watching and listening. Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday and have a great day.